हरे कृष्ण हरे जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन दानंदन ब्रज जन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे गौर प्रेमानंदे जय ओम विष्णुपाद परहंस पुरुषार्य अष्टोत्सत हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरण भक्तिदान स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परहंस पुरुषार्य अष्टोत्सत श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय Samaveta Bhakta-vrinda ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Puran ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Lord Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Gaur. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 50, Text 1 and 2. So we'll be reciting verse 1 today. Yeah, one. No. Text 1. I mean, I was given text 1, so. I can read from the phone. Okay. You can go on the phone. Yeah. Chapters, Canto 10, Chapter 50, Text 1. 1 and 2. Yeah. You have the verse? 501. 1051. Canto 10, Chapter 50, Text 1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Apadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 50, Text 1. Sri Sukha Vacha Asti Praptischa Kamsasya Asti Praptischa Kamsasya Asti Praptischa Kamsa Asya Mahisho Mahaisho Bhartashabam Mahisho Bhartashabam Amrite Bharati Dukarte Mrite Bharatari Dukarte Yatu Sma Piturgrahan Yatu Sma Piturgrahan. Sri Sukha Uvacha Asti Prapti Cha Kamsasya Asti Prapti Cha Kamsasya Mahi Isho Bhartarshaba Mahi Isho Bhartarshaba Mrite Bharati Dukarte Mrite Bharatari Dukarte Iha Tusma Piturgrahan Iha Tusma Piturgrahan. Hare Krishna. Sri Sukha Vacha Asti Praptischa Kamsasya Mahayasho Bhartarshava Mrite Bhartari Dukharte Iyatu Sma Piturgrahan. What? Okay. Sri Sukha Vacha Asti Praptischa Kamsasya Maishyo Bhartarshava Mrite Bhartari Dukharte Yatusma pitur grahan. Hare Krishna. Shri Sukha Uvacha Asti Prapti Shakam Sasyam Mahaishau Bhartarishabam Mriti Bhartari Dukarte Iyatusma Pitur Grahan. Sri Sukavacha, Sukadev Goswami said, Asti Prapti Cha, Asti and Prapti, Kamsasya of Kamsa, Ma Yisho, the Kuns, the Bharata Rishabha, O hero of the Bharatas, Parikshit, Mrite, having been killed, Bhartari, their husband, Dukha, with unhappiness, Arte, distressed, Yatu, Sma, they went, Pitu, of their father, Grehan, to the house. Translation. Sukdev Goswami said, when Kamsa was killed, O heroic descendant of Bharata, his two queens, Asti and Prapti, went to their father's house in great distress. Text 2. Pitre Magada Rajaya Jarsandhaya Dukite Vedayam Chakratu Sharvam Atma Vaidhavya Karanam. The sorrowful queens told their father, King Jasanda of Magda, all about how they had become widows. Hare Krishna. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapada Kamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Saudutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamcha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shubhano Sudevi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavotu me. Hare Krishna. The title is Krishna Establishes Dwarka. So the title is Krishna Established Dwarka. So Jarsanda, he was the king of Magda, a province in Bihar. He was a very powerful king. He had the strength of 10,000 elephants. And he was born in two parts by his father. Because he was born by two queens. They had some benediction and the fruit was distributed. And so it was between the two queens. And he was born in two parts actually, from one mother, half another. And the king threw it in the jungle, in the forest. So the name, a witch, black magic witch named Jara, she joined both the part. And Jarsanda was born again like that. So Jarsanda was very powerful. He was king of Magda. In this verse, we say, Sukdev Goswami said, when Kamsa was killed, O heroic descent of Bharata, his two queens, Asti and Prapti, went to their father's house in great distress. So Jarsanda's daughters were wives of Kamsa. Generally, a girl is protected when childhood parents grown-up husband, and old age children. And if she no children, then she goes to her father's house like that. In that, so by nature she's always secured, by protected. So similarly here in this verse, Sukadeva Goswami said, when Kamsa was killed, O heroic descendant of Bharata, his two queens, Asti and Prapti, went to their father's house in great distress. They were very distressed and they approached Jasanda. The sorrowful queens told their father, King Jasanda of Magda, all about how they had become widows. So Jasanda took a oath that he will destroy the Yadu dynasty from this earth. And he collected all his armies, and Krishna was defeated 17 times. No, sorry, Krishna defeated Jasanda 17 times on the battlefield. But Jasanda was morose, and again he prepared himself because his followers told him that don't get morose, you get ready, you will be defeated. Krishna. So 17 times he was defeated, but Uddhava had informed Lord Krishna, because Uddhava knew the inner vision of Krishna, that Jasanda, only Bhima can kill Jasanda. And Yudhishthira Maharaj wanted to perform a Rajsuya sacrifice, in which he will conquer from all direction, he has to prove his power as a king of the whole earth planet. And he defeated. So Jasanda, Krishna, Arjuna and Bhima dressed themselves as a brahmanas and approached Jasanda, because Jasanda was very charitable to the brahmanas. He used to respect the brahmanas. And so when Jasanda saw Krishna, he came to know by their features, they are not brahmanas, they are kshatriyas, because they had their bodily features like that. So Jasanda, when Jasanda told Krishna that you are ranachor, you have ran away from the battlefield, so I don't want to fight with you. And Arjuna, you're junior to me, I can't fight with you. But Bhima, he is equal to me, so I can fight with Jasanda, King Bhima. So the fight went on for 28 days, King Jasanda and Bhima. In this fight, Bhima could not kill Jasanda. He fought very valiantly. And so Lord Krishna indicated to Arjuna that he was born. He took a twig from a tree and broke into two parts, and he empowered all his strength to Jasanda, so Bhima. And he indicated that Jasanda was born in two parts. So Bhima took hold of his thighs under his feet and then twisted into two parts, and in this way Jasanda was killed. In the meanwhile, there was a king named Kalyavan. Kalyavan was born by Yavana king. So there are different types of meat eaters. Some are dog eaters, like that, some hog, goes on like that. So they are named by different this. Yeah. So Yavana, one was the Yavana king. So he was born of a Yavana king, just Kalyavan. So Kalyavan was untouchable, like in another sense. So Kalyavan collected his army and tried to attack Dwarka. So Lord Krishna, in order to protect the Yadus, he built a palace in a sea, very huge palace, which there were no miseries. Because from both sides, Jasanda also had collected many soldiers, and this Kalyavan also had collected, and they tried to attack Dwarka. But Krishna, he wanted to save the Yadus, so Yavana, this king, followed Krishna, and Krishna, without any weapons, tried to go away from the city to the forest. And this Yavana followed, this Kalyavan followed King Krishna all along to the forest. And there a king named Muchkunda was sleeping. He was sleeping for many years over there. And but Kalyavan misunderstood to be Muchkunda to be Krishna lying over there. So as soon as he touched Muchkunda, he got up from his sleep because he had the power that anybody who comes in front of him, he would be burned to ashes. And in this way, Muchkunda was killed. So this is a very beautiful pastimes. It's very how Krishna erected the city of Dwarka, how Bhima killed Jasanda, and Kalyavan was killed like that. So I'll be going through this from Krishna book. And before that, we'll be reading some of the topics from the last chapter, Akrura's mission in Hastinapura. Kunti's prayers, just for our remembrance. Kunti Maharani was saying, now that I am suffering in the midst of my enemies, like a doe in the midst of wolves, will Krishna come to console me and my fatherless sons with his words? So Kunti's prayers are, she's concerned of her family and of herself, and she is in the midst of her enemies like Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra and all his sons, and she's praying to Krishna. So these prayers are full of bhakti. Where Prabhupada said Kunti's prayers are wonderful. And next prayer verse says, Krishna, Krishna, O great yogi, O supreme soul and protector of the universe, O Govinda, please protect me, who have surrendered to you. I and my sons are being overwhelmed by trouble. Now she is calling to Krishna, Krishna. We can get in this age of Kali Yuga where we cannot perform austerities like the previous ages. Because penance means very austerity too, in order to have self-realization to know the Lord. It makes lot of austerities, lot of penances to perform to see the Lord. So, but in this age, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made it easily by chanting the holy name of the Lord, Harinam Kevalam. So in this also, we can see Kunti also is calling Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. She is loudly chanting Krishna, Krishna. Even Haridas Thakur told that if we chant loudly Hare Krishna, the trees also will be benefit. But we have to be in a very purified stage. The other species also will dance if you are in so pure stage. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proved this when he was in the forest of Jharkhanda. So in this similar prayer, she is saying, Krishna, Krishna, O great yogi, O supreme soul, and protector of the universe, O Govinda, please protect me, who have surrendered to you. I and my sons are being overwhelmed by trouble. Krishna, Krishna, O great yogi, O supreme soul, and protector of the universe, O Govinda, please protect me, who have surrendered to you. The Lord is within everyone's heart as super soul. He knows He's within us, He's very close to us, He's far away. Yes, super soul is within our heart. Super soul. The supreme soul. She is addressing Krishna, O great yogi, O supreme soul, and protector of the universe. O Govinda, please protect me, who have surrendered to you. I and my sons are being overwhelmed by trouble. Next verse, she says, for persons fearful of death and rebirth, I see no shelter other than your liberating lotus feet, for you are the Supreme Lord. If one has to become fearless, one has to take shelter of the Lord in all circumstances. Srila Prabhupada's name is Abhay Charan Aravinda. Prabhupada was fearless. Abhay means fearless. Charana means lotus feet. Charana Aravinda. Who has taken the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Abhaya Charan Aravinda. In this prayer she says, Kunti Maharani is saying, oh, for persons fearful of death and rebirth, for persons fearful of death and rebirth, I see no shelter other than your liberating lotus feet, for you are the Supreme Lord. I offer my obeisances unto you, Krishna, the Supreme Pure, the Absolute Truth, and the Super Soul, the Lord of pure devotional service, and the source of all knowledge. I have come to you for shelter. So Krishna is the only protector. Krishna is the only shelter of the devotees. Now, this next prayer comes of Akrura. Akrura is saying to Dhritarashtra, by religiously protecting the earth, delighting your subjects with your noble character, and treating all your relatives equally, you will surely achieve success and glory. Akrura is instructing Dhritarashtra, by religiously protecting the earth, delighting your subjects with your noble character, and treating all your relatives equally, you will surely achieve success and glory. So when we are concerned of the citizens, of everybody, Dhritarashtra as a king, he has to perform his duty. Then he has to become a very religious, has to protect the earth, because they all are his subjects. By protecting the earth, delighting your subjects with your noble character, and treating all your relatives equally, you will surely achieve success and glory. And next verse it says, if you act otherwise, however, people will condemn you in this world and in the next life. You will enter the darkness of hell, remain equally disposed, therefore, toward Pandu's sons and your own. So don't be impartial, see equally, whether they are your sons or your brother's sons. Otherwise, you will be condemned if you don't follow these religious principles. As a king, you have to perform your duty, you have to take care of all the citizens. And the next life you will enter into darkness of hell, remain equally disposed. In the next verse, it's a very nice teaching. In this world, no one has any permanent relationship with anyone else. In this world, no one has any permanent relationship with anyone else. O king, we cannot stay forever even with our own body. What to speak of our wife, children, and the rest? Hare Krishna. Even to maintain our own body, we have to struggle. And if we have a wife, then so much more. We cannot take care of our own body. We are struggling with our body mind. That's what Stri. Stri means expansion. In Sanskrit, Stri, the word says expansion. Wife, children, land, property, like that. And shackles like that. Shackles of this world. But in human society, there's marriage. In animal society, there's not marriage. But one has to follow the principle. So Akrura is saying to Dhritarashtra here, in this world, no one has any permanent relationship with anyone else. O king, we cannot stay forever even with our own body. And what to speak of our wife, children, and the rest? Every creature is born alone and dies alone, and alone one experiences the just rewards of his good and evil deeds. So nobody is to blame. Everybody is enjoying and suffering the results of his own act. He says, every creature is born alone and dies alone, and alone one experiences the just rewards of his good and evil deeds. In the gaze of dear dependents, strangers steal the sinfully acquired wealth of a foolish man, just as the offspring of a fish drink up the water that sustains the fish. It says in the geese like an of dear dependents, strangers steal the sinfully acquired wealth of a foolish man, just as offspring of a fish drink up the water that sustains the fish. Yeah. So When anybody, a thief steals a pocket, a wife puts a hand in the pocket, oh, they are my wife, they are my children. But even same thing, somebody why thief steals, then you get disturbed. It says here, in the guise of dear dependence, strangers steal the sinfully acquired wealth of a foolish man. But here it says, the wealth, he cannot take the wealth along with him. He has to take the sin along with him because he goes alone. He comes all alone, but he cannot take his wealth nor his dependence. But he will be taking his sin. It says, in the guise of dear dependence, strangers steal the sinfully acquired wealth of a foolish man. It says, foolish man, it says. Just as the offspring of fish drink up the water that sustains the fish. In other words, one has to give his more energy in Krishna consciousness. One has to strive to be Krishna consciousness. A fool, his energy he used to use in Krishna service instead of sense gratification or accumulating wealth. A fool indulges in sin to maintain his life, wealth and children and other relatives, for he thinks these things are mine. In the end, however, these very things all abandon him, leaving him frustrated. So this is a nice example of Dhritarashtra. He was the king. He had all the power. He had 100 sons. He was so powerful. His sons were very powerful, but they misused this, and they had to suffer. So in this, Vidura is saying, Akrura is saying, a fool indulges in sin to maintain his life, wealth, and children and other relatives, for he thinks these things are mine. In the end, however, these very things all abandon him, leaving him frustrated. Abandoned by his so-called dependence, ignorant of the actual goal of life, indifferent to his real duty, and having failed to fulfill his purpose, the foolish soul enters the blindness of hell, taking his sinful reactions with him. He doesn't take anything, he just takes his sinful reaction along with him. Therefore, O king, look upon this world as a dream, a magician's illusion, or a flight of fancy. Please control your mind with intelligence and become equiposed and peaceful by my Lord. He says, O king, looking upon this world as a dream, a magician's illusion, or a flight of fancy. In three ways he's explaining this world as a dream, a magician's illusion, or a flight of fancy. Please control your mind with intelligence and become equiposed and peaceful. So mind is the center of all activities. Mind is like a good driver and bad driver. Can take you to good place and bad place. Similarly, here is Akrura is saying to Dhritarashtra, considering in different ways, he's explaining how Krishna established the city of Dwarka. This chapter relates how Lord Krishna defeated Jarasandha 17 times in battle and constructed the city of Dwarka. So 17 times Lord Krishna defeated Jarasandha and he finally constructed a city in Dwarka. And after Kamsa was killed, his two queens, Asti and Prapti, went to the home of their father Jarasandha and sorrowfully described to him how Krishna had made them widows. Upon hearing this account, King Jarasandha became angry. He vowed to rid the earth of all the Yadavas, and he gathered an immense army to lay siege to Mathura. When Sri Krishna saw Jarasandha attacking the Lord, considered the reasons for his descent to this world. When Krishna saw Jarasandha attacking the Lord, when Sri Krishna saw Jarasandha attacking the Lord, considered the reasons for his descent to this world, and then decided to destroy Jarasandha's army, which was burdened to the earth. So Lord comes to protect the devotees and annihilate the miscreants. So in this case, King Jarasandha was trying to rid the earth of all Yadavas. He gathered an immense army and he tried to siege lay siege. When Krishna saw Jasanta attacking, the Lord considered the reasons for his descent to this world and they decided to destroy. Here it says Mathura. Yeah, Yadavas in the Mathura. Dwarka, Lord Krishna was there with his wife, family. Descend to this world and thus decided to destroy Jasan's army, which was a burden to the earth. Two effulgent chariots suddenly appeared, equipped with drivers and furnishing, together with all the Lord's personal weapons. Seeing this, Lord Krishna addressed Lord Baldev. My dear brother Jasanda is now attacking Mathura Puri, so please mount your chariot and let us go destroy the enemy's army. The Lord took up their weapons, mounted their chariots, and went forth from the city. When Lord Krishna came before his opponent's army, he sounded his conch shell, striking fear into his enemies' hearts. King Jasanta surrounded Krishna and Balram with his soldiers, and so on. And the women of the city, having climbed up the roofs of the palace, became extremely unhappy because they could not see the Lord. Then Krishna twanged his bow and started to rain down a torrent of arrows upon the enemy soldiers. Soon Jasanda's unfathomable army had been elated. So Jasanda, along with his all army, he tried to attack Mathura and Puri from all direction. But Krishna and all the residents of they could not see Krishna. The women, they were seeing from the top roofs, and they became very morose. Then Krishna, with his bow twang, he killed all the soldiers from in all direction with his bow. Then Lord Baldev arrested Jasanda and was about to bind him up with ropes. When Krishna and Baldev released the king, Lord Krishna reasoned that Jasanda would assemble another army and return again to fight. This would facilitate Krishna's goal of removing the earth's burden. So and then Lord Baldev arrested Jasanda, but Krishna told him, "You release him, because he will come again to fight with another." So Krishna wanted to kill the miscreants. Release Jasanta, returned to Magda and vowed to perform austerities with the aim of avenging defeat. The other kings advised him that his defeat was only a reaction of his karma. Thus informed King Jasanda withdrew to his kingdom with a heavy heart. So 17 times Krishna defeated Jasanda, and 17 times he came back again with more armies. Krishna rejoined the citizens of Mathura, who began rejoicing, singing songs of triumph and arranging victory celebration. The Lord brought all the warriors' jewelry and ornaments that had been picked up from the battlefield and presented them to Maharaj Ugrasena. Jasanda attacked the Yadavas in Mathura 17 times, and each time his armies were totally destroyed. Then, as Jasanda prepared to attack for the 18th time, a warrior named Kalyavan, who had been searching for a worthy opponent, was sent by Narad Muni to fight the Yadavas. With 30 million soldiers, Kalyavan laid siege to the Yadav capital. Lord Krishna looked upon the attack with concern, for he knew that with Jasanda's arrival imminent, there was a serious danger that the simultaneous attack of these two enemies might endanger the Yadavas. Therefore, the Lord constructed a wonderful city in the sea as safe of heaven for the Yadavas. He brought them all there by his mystic power. The city was fully populated with members of all four social orders, and within it no one felt the pangs of thirst and hunger. The various demigods headed by Indra each offered as tribute to Lord Krishna the same opulence they had already obtained from him to establish their positions of authority. Once he saw his subjects safely settled, Lord Sri Krishna took permission from Lord Baldev and went out of Mathura unarmed. So Krishna, Jasanda and Kalyavan on the order of Narad Muni, they covered all of Mathura with their armies. And Lord Sri Krishna, seeing this, he constructed a wonderful city in the ocean. Like that. So this is the title. this past times, where Jasanda was defeated 17 times, and then Kalia won, and Jasanda tried to siege the residence of Yadava. Yeah, Yadavas from all direction. And then Lord Krishna saw this, and he did not want them to be killed. He protected them. So it's very nice, the liberation of King Jasanda. In the great assembly of respectable citizens, friends, relatives, brahmanas, sages, kshatriyas, and vaishyas, in the presence of all, including his brothers, King Yudhishthira, including all his brothers, directly addressed Lord Krishna as follows: My dear Lord Krishna, the sacrifice known as Raj Yajna is to be performed by the emperor is considered the king of all sacrifice. By performing this sacrifice, I wish to satisfy all the demigods who are your empowered representative within this material world. And I wish that you will kindly help in this great venture so that it may be successfully executed. So Lord King Yudhishthira is addressing Krishna. I want to perform this sacrifice, Rajasuya, because if he is this king of all sacrifice, Rajasuya sacrifice. And by performing this sacrifice, he wanted to please all the demigods. They are all representatives of Lord Krishna. In other words, he wants to prove that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And he's asking help from Krishna, Yudhishthira Maharaj. As far as we Pandavas, we have nothing asked from them. We are personally fully satisfied to be your devotees. As you say in the Bhagavad Gita, persons bewildered by material desires worship the demigods. But my purpose is different. I want to perform this Rajasuya sacrifice and invite the demigod to show that they have no power independent of you. So Yudhishthira Maharaj wanted to perform this Rajasuya sacrifice. He wanted to please the demigods, but they did not want anything material, like generally when people ask for it. Because they are all representatives of Lord Krishna, demigods, they are empowered with particular department, So here he says, you are the supreme. Foolish persons with a poor fund of knowledge consider your lordship an ordinary human being. Sometimes they try to find fault in you, and sometimes they defame you. Therefore, I wish to perform this Rajasuya Yajna. So Yudhishthira Maharaj wanted to establish the supremacy of Lord Krishna. So he wanted to perform, he wanted to invite all the demigods, Brahma, Indra, Shiva, and all the demigods from all the universe, and prove that you are the Supreme Lord and everybody is the servant of Krishna. Hare Krishna. So in order to be purified, one has to engage in the service of the Lord. That's the process, purification, chanting Hare Krishna and serving the Lord. Here Yudhishthira Maharaj is showing example how he want to perform a Rajasuya sacrifice, which is the king of all sacrifice. He want to invite all the demigods there because they are the representative of God. Brahma, Shiva, all the great demigods from all the parts of the universe. And he want to prove that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So in order he has to perform this Rajasuya sacrifice, which is the king of all sacrifice. My dear Lord, those who are constantly in Krishna conscious, who think of your lotus feet, of your shoes, or your shoes, are certainly freed from all contamination of material life. Very nice. In order to become free from contamination of material life, one has to think of the lotus feet of the Lord or of his shoes. Here Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying here, my dear Lord, constantly, and he says, those who are constantly in Krishna consciousness. In other words, lotus feet means the desire of Krishna, the instruction of Krishna. My dear Lord, those who are constantly in Krishna consciousness and who think of your lotus feet or your shoes are certainly freed from all contamination of material life. There is a prayer, it says, Om apavitra pavitra va sarvastugati piva yasmirit pundrikaksham Sri Vishnu sa bhayantar abhayantar suchi. By remembering Krishna, one can be purified externally and internally. Like externally, we take bath, we clean our clothes daily, and we keep the surroundings clean. So internally, we have to clean ourselves from all material contamination by remembering Krishna in all situations. Being constantly, and they are freed from the cycle of constantly, it says. You are purified. Being constantly engaged in Krishna conscious service, they are freed from the cycle of repeated birth and death. Or even if they do not want to be from this material existence, but desire to enjoy material opulence, their desires also fulled by their Krishna conscious activities. There are some words, akama, sarvakama, va moksha kama, uddharina, tivrena bhakti yogena. Either one is full of material desire or without desire. One should worship the Supreme Lord. In this next verse, it says, if you want to become free from material contamination, and another says, the pure devotees, they don't want any material opulence. But, yes, and others, those who want some desires also, that also is being fulfilled, it says. It says, your lotus feet or your shoes, Hare Krishna, are certainly freed from all contamination of life, material life. Such persons who engage in your service in full Krishna conscious, who meditate upon you only and offer prayers unto you, are purified souls. Who engage in your service in full Krishna, who meditate upon you only and offer prayers unto you, are purified souls. Offer prayers unto you are being constantly engaged in Krishna conscious service, they are freed from the cycle of repeated birth and death. Constantly being engaged in service of Lord. Or even if they want to be freed from this material life, but desire to enjoy material opulence. In other words, they want to enjoy material opulence. Their also desires are fulfilled by their Krishna conscious activities. In fact, those who are pure devotees of your lotus feet have no desire for material opulence. Those who want Krishna only, they don't want anything else. They only want Krishna. That's called pure devotees. That's pure devotees. They are constantly engaged. As far we are concerned, we are fully surrendered unto your lotus feet. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying, as for ourselves, we are fully surrendered. And by your grace, we are so fortunate as to see you personally. So two things, grace is the mercy of the Lord and His pure representative. So our Krishna conscious in the Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, Vaishnava Sampradaya, coming from Krishna, Brahma, Narad, Vyasdev, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, like that. This comes from a disciplic succession from the Lord. So he says, my Lord, here Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying, your grace, we are so fortunate as to see you personally. So Srila Prabhupada's name is given is Divine Grace, Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It's Divine Grace. Here similarly in this says, Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying, your lotus feet and by your grace, we are so fortunate as to see you personally. A great personality, a God-conscious person should be addressed in such a way, your divine grace. Therefore, who is fully Krishna conscious. Therefore, naturally, we have no desire for material opulence. Because they were really constantly engaged in Lord's service, they were fully Krishna consciousness, they had no material desires. They were all. I want to establish this fact. I also want to show the world the difference between accepting you as the Supreme Personal Godhead and accepting you as an ordinary, powerful, historical person. I wish to show the world that one can attain the highest perfection of life simply by taking shelter at your lotus feet. Exactly as one can satisfy the branches, twigs, leaves and flowers of an entire tree simply by watering the root. If one takes to Krishna consciousness, his life becomes fulfilled both materially and spiritually. So, if one takes to Krishna consciousness, either he has some material desire also, his desire can be fulfilled both materially and spiritually. Says Krishna consciousness. The example is given, like you water the root of the tree, the whole tree gets nourished. If you water it separately, it will take a lot of time. So it's compared to demigods, like, family, whatever relation they are compared to, like that. By watering the truth, taking shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna in Krishna consciousness, if you have a material desire or you have spiritual, both can be fulfilled. This does not mean that you are partial to the Krishna conscious person and indifferent to the non-Krishna conscious person. You are equal to everyone. That is your declaration. You cannot be partial to one and not interested in others. For you sit in everyone's heart as the super soul and give everyone the respective results of his fruitive activities. You give every living entity the chance to enjoy this material world as he desires. So nobody is interfering in anyone's independence. They've got a minute independence. Here Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying that doesn't mean that you're partial to your devotees and you're not partial to the non-devotees. You're equal to everybody. That's your declaration. Even though they are not interested. Because you are as Lord, you are in the heart of every living entity. Even in a bird or in a hog, in a worm, in a tree. So Lord is within everyone's heart. It's very minute. The soul is very minute. There's a soul and the super soul. Everyone, the respect is of, according to their activities, they get that particular this. You give every living entity the chance to enjoy this material world as he desires. As the super soul, you sit in the body with the living entity. Give him the results of his own actual, as well as opportunity to turn toward your devotional service. But the Lord is giving an opportunity to somehow turn to Krishna, to engage in devotional activities. You open declare, one should surrender unto you. Krishna is openly declaring in Bhagavad, you surrender to you. You giving up all other engagements, that you will take charge of him, giving him relief from the reactions of all sins. Says you will give relief from all sins. Still the living entity remains attached to material activities and suffer or enjoys the reaction without your interference. So everybody is enjoying suffering, but Krishna is saying, you surrender to me, then I will take charge. Nothing to worry like that. But still this living entity want to, being attached to material activities, he suffers or enjoys the reaction with your interference. So Bhagavad Gita, in 2nd chapter, we accept Krishna is explaining in different ways. You are not the body, you are the soul. And this knowledge of soul and the body and the super soul, one should know material and as well as spiritual in full. The soul cannot be killed by any weapon, or cannot be insoluble, cannot destroy the soul. Some see the soul as anything, some even after hearing, they don't accept the soul like that. Different activities. He says, you openly declare that one should surrender unto you, giving up all other engagements. You will take charge of him, giving him relief from the reactions of all sins. Still the living entity, as as the embodied soul passes from childhood to youth to old age, the soul passes to another body. So a person, Dhira, he should not be disturbed. You openly declare one should surrender to you, giving up all, and that you will take charge of him, giving him relief from the reaction of all. Still, the living entity remain attached to material life, suffers or enjoys reaction with your interference. You are like the desired tree in the heavenly planet, which awards benedictions according to one's desire. Everyone is free to achieve the highest perfection. If one does not so desire, then you are avoiding of lesser benediction, not due to partiality. So there's in the heavenly planets, there's a desired trees, or in the spiritual world, there are desired trees. Whatever you want, you can get it from the desired tree. One desires. So everywhere. Similarly, the Lord is also here very like a desired tree. See, Yudhishthira is saying, everyone is free to achieve the highest. But if one does not desire, then you are avoiding of lesser benefits, not due to partiality. If he does not want Krishna, then he wants something material, then it's not partiality. Krishna is equal to everybody. On hearing this statement by King Yudhishthira, Lord Krishna replied as follows. My dear King Yudhishthira, O killer of enemies, O ideal justice person, I completely support your decision to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice. After you perform this sacrifice, your good name will remain well established forever in the history of human civilization. My dear king, I may inform you that all the great sages, your forefathers, the demigods, and your relatives and friends, including me, desire that you perform this sacrifice. And I think that it will satisfy every living entity. Hare Krishna. So Lord Krishna is replying to Yudhishthira, you go ahead with your Rajya sacrifice. And in this way your name and fame will be uh, forever be in the history of humans. Even your great sages, your forefathers, demigods, including me, they want their desires to you perform them. I think it will set every living entity. But I request you that you first conquer all the kings of the world. So before performing this sacrifice, you conquer in all directions everybody. So Krishna, Yudhishthira Maharaj had to fight with, he had to conquer Magda, Bihar. So Magda was ruled by Jasanda. We will be going to it. My dear King Yudhishthira, your four brothers are direct representatives of important demigods like Vayu and Indra. It is said that Bhima was born of the demigod Vayu, Arjuna was born of the demigod Indra, whereas King Yudhishthira himself was born of demigod Yamraj. As such, your brothers are great heroes. So Lord Krishna is also addressing that you are all representatives of important demigods. They were born of different, like Bhima was born of Vayu, and Arjuna was born of Indra, Yudhishthira was born of demigod Dharmraj, that's Yamraj, and Nakul and Sadev, they were Ashwini Kumars, like that. They are most pious and self-controlled kings, and therefore known as Dharma. All of you are so qualified in devotions to me that I have ultimately been conquered by you. So Lord Krishna is conquered by his devotees because of their devotional service, pure devotional service, or constantly engaged in. Lord Krishna told King Yudhishthira that he is conquered by the love of one who has conquered his senses. One who has not conquered his senses cannot conquer the Supreme Person of Godhead. He says, Lord Krishna told you that he is conquered by the love of one who has conquered his senses. One who has not conquered his senses cannot conquer the Supreme Person of Godhead. Krishna's name is Rishikesha. He is the master of the senses. So in order to control the senses, one has to surrender to Krishna. One has to constantly be in touch with Krishna, it says, constantly, without any material desires. It's a pure devotional service. It says, because here he's saying, Yudhishthira, you're a pure representative of God. Lord Krishna told King Yudhishthira that he is conquered by the love of one who has conquered his senses. Even in Updeshamrita it says, Vacho Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam, who knows not control his senses. The mind, tongue, belly, all are in one line. And there's a push of the mind, there's a push of the tongue, there's a push of the belly. Body means senses, and senses means sense gratification. There are knowledge acquiring senses and working senses. One has to control the senses. If he has not conquered his senses, then he cannot conquer. Krishna will not achieve. That is the secret of the devotional service. Very nice nectar, secret. Like in the cigarette, they write, cigarette is injurious to health. Still, people smoke. Now they have changed, I think, so. I don't see, but like that. Still people smoke, like fire will kill you, now it's like that, it says. Still people are addicted, so, sense. One who has not conquered his senses cannot conquer the Supreme. This is the secret of devotional service. To conquer the senses means to engage them constantly in the service of the Lord. The specific qualification of all the Pandava brothers was that they always engage their senses in the Lord's service. One who thus engages senses become purified, and with purified senses, the devotee can actually render transcending service to the Lord and conquer him. So by engaging in the senses, and constantly in the service of the Lord, thinking of Krishna, glorifying Krishna, and that's the greatest activity is to preach the glories of the Lord widely. That's the greatest activities. Hare Krishna. Any comments, any questions? Wonderful, beautiful. No, in order to please Krishna, you want to become dear to Krishna, one has to preach the glories of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's recommended. Yes, one who is preaching, like in this chapter, we'll find it last, finally. I'll be, yeah, I'll say you. Yes. Yeah. One has to distribute this knowledge. Krishna is pleased when the devotee takes all the risk to preach the message of God. Because preaching is like there's many obstacles when you preach the name of Lord or glories of Lord. You have to take risk your life also like that. It's not so easy to preach the message of God. So devotee is not concerned of this, but he glorifies the Lord. In all circumstances, he preaches the message of Lord. So the Lord is very dear to him like that, in the sense. He takes his risk for preaching the message. In that way, it's become very dear to the Lord. In this, especially, I was there, sir, I say. I was reading the what you were saying, He's controlled his senses. In other words, he does not engage in sense gratification. So he's very dear to the Lord like that. Good? Like that. In other words, sense gratification, then you can become more, it will take time like that. Lord is within everyone's heart. He fulfills their desires like that. Thank you, Prabhu, for sitting there. Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving me chance. Srimad Bhagavat Puran ki jai, Samaved Bhakturind ki jai. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.